over to the game that we were actually in attendance for, Dawn. That is number 6 Miami beating Louisville 52-45. We were in for a barn burner at Louisville. It was an amazing, amazing game. Let's go over the highest grade players, starting off with the Miami Hurricanes. Highest grade player was Damian Martinez, 88 grade. Ruben Bain Jr. after that, 82.8. Samuel Brown, the receiver, 81.4. Simeon Barrow Jr., the D tackle, 80.1. Xavier Restrepo, 74.5. And Cam Ward with an 83.4 grade. Let's go over to Louisville with their highest grade players. Thor Griffith was utterly unblockable against Miami. 93.3 grade for the Harvard transfer. Linebacker TJ Quinn, 73.9. Ashton Gelati, 73.6. Ja'Cory Brooks, 69.5. Austin Collins, the offensive guard, 69.3. And Tyler Shuck was actually the second highest graded player and highest graded offensive player for Louisville with an 85.5 grade. So, Dawn, what told the story and what was an incredible shootout that we watched?
Yeah, it was a wild one for sure, and there was a lot of talent on that field and a really high level of execution, at least on offense. But I think I'm going to go to Miami on third downs, okay, to really represent, one, just how they obviously succeeded and won this game on third down, and two, just Cam Ward, how he just can't be rattled, right? Miami was 9 for 15 on third down. Louisville was 3 for 12, and Cam 91.2 overall grade on third downs in this game. And I think what you saw, or what we saw in person, I should say, is just the big situations. He's just got no pulse, right? No. We saw it with big comebacks the last 2 weeks. This time, almost every big third down in this game found a way to make a play, right? Whether it was especially on the move, right? And I think those are the two things. It's big situations, and it's about creating. I mean, when he was moved off of his spot in this game, in part because Louisville didn't get a whole lot of sacks on him, and there was just times they just couldn't catch him, right? He's breaking tackles back there. He's making his magic happen. He's Cam Ward, right? He just makes plays.
Yes.
He just does. He gets out on the move. He can improvise, and this year we're seeing him improvise without putting the ball in danger, right? I mean, I think that first touchdown he threw when he was rolling to his left, that's really right. That's the magic of Cam Ward in the back corner of the end zone to Jacoby George. I mean, just makes it happen. He wills this team to wins. And he did it earlier in this game than he has in the past couple of weeks with the big comebacks. But it's third down. It's big moments when 59,000 people were as loud as they could possibly be.
Yeah.
It was when Ashton Gelati would get quick pressure and he would escape it. Like, there's just, Cam Ward is so unfazed by anything. Louisville would score, or Louisville even with the 2 back-to-back touchdowns, right, with the kick return, then the immediate fumble, and they tied the game at 31, and Cam, there's just no pulse.
Yeah.
He just, I think it's, you always look for if it's a first-round type quarterback, what's the special thing? Is it the arm? Does he have a 90-yard arm? Is he special accurate? Is it processing like I tell you it is with Shedeur Sanders? I just think with Cam Ward, it's just this calm and cool. It's the swagger that they've
Joe Burrow thing.
It's just the swagger that is sitting there that's been talked about all year with Cam, that he's just so unfazed when his defense isn't playing well, when the run game comes and goes. And the run game was really good in this game. I thought Mark Fletcher was just awesome, especially early in the game. And Martinez late in the game was a problem.
Yeah, they could not tackle him.
They couldn't tackle him at all. But just times when in moments when you think things are going to be extremely hard, and actually they have been the last 3 games for Miami, Cam Ward is the constant, and he is without question the leader of this team, and he just keeps finding a way to do it. I think it's represented in this game on third downs. I believe they were 3 for 3 on fourth downs also, when he's moved off of his spot and he's got to improvise. He's just got no pulse. That's the best way I can put it. He is just so calm and cool throughout the whole thing, and he keeps making plays.
Dude, Dalton, we were lucky enough to be on the field for the entire first half. Honestly, we were actually sitting right next to Michael Irvin basically the entire time, which is very, very cool. And we were trying to talk to each other. I could not hear you. It was so loud in that stadium.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what it was like on the field, honestly. And like you said, he was just so calm and collected. I would not have been calm and collected out there. I could not hear anything. I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. It was an incredible environment, but Cam Ward was the best player, I think, on the field, or one of the best players on the field, at least in this game. My side of the story, though, is kind of just a combination of the two offenses. Dalton, these two offenses averaged 6.9 yards per play combined. Defense was really optional in this game. Miami averaged 7.5 yards per play. Louisville averaged 6.4 yards per play. Both of them averaged at least 6.5 yards per run and 6.5 yards per pass as well. Each team averaged over 3 points per drive as well, which is a crazy stat. And these are two defenses that normally are pretty good, like really good defenses, and they were getting torched all game. Each had below 70 defensive grades in this one. That's their second lowest defensive grade all year for each of them. So defense, we thought was they had two solid defenses, especially up front with Louisville and Miami. They were getting absolutely torched. It would look like a basketball score out there.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I'll roll with the most impressive here real quick and kind of explain it. I think you have two defenses in very similar situations. They have fantastic defensive lines, and their secondaries are struggling big time. This is going to be a concern going forward for Miami, but let me focus on their D-line because we were standing on the sideline, right? And we're watching this first four, and Miami's got a lot of depth on their D-line, but this starting four on Miami's defensive line is just silly.
Looks like an NFL D-line.
When you see Ruben Bain, Simeon Barrow, Tyler Barron, and Akeem Mesidor line up out there, and then there's times when they have a second unit out there, and then it comes to a big third down. It's like, oh, these four get back on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, they look like it is. That's an NFL defensive line.
They're all Sunday players.
They're all Sunday players. They're freaks of nature, honestly. This was the first game I felt like this year, and I know he had the injuries, where we felt like, oh, that's Ruben Bain.
Yeah.
Right? That's the Ruben Bain we saw last year. 82.8 overall, 10 pressures in this game. He had 10. Tyler Barron had 6. Simeon Barrow had 5 pressures, a forced fumble, the forced fumble that Miami scooped up in the end zone for the defensive touchdown. Barrow made that play. Akeem Mesidor had 5 pressures. I mean, you look at these 4 guys combined for 26 pressures. I mean, you could. That's the one thing I could feel with Miami's defense is when this starting front 4, Bain, Barrow, Mesidor, Barron, that is just. I mean, even looking at those guys are huge. I mean, it's crazy. They're so good. It's not them. They're not the problem with this defense at all. That front 4 right there. That's an elite unit. If they can just get the secondary figured out, because they're giving up a lot of points, a lot of big plays, a lot of mix-ups in coverage. They just need to get the coverage part of this figured out because it's the one Achilles heel on this team that I'm very worried about going forward. But that first 4 on that D-line, seeing them in person up close, that's ridiculous. That's 4 NFL players, and they may have a few more behind them too.
And we talked about it preseason. We're like, dude, this D-line could be nasty. They've been exactly that so far this year. My most impressive, you covered it already, but Cam Ward, man, he is just awesome. I mean, he's putting a Superman cape on right now and willing this team to victory. 10 yards per pass against Louisville, 319 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, 3 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. He also ran 7 times for 48 yards. Dalton, the lowest scoring game for Miami this year was when they dropped 38 points on Virginia Tech. 38 points is the lowest scoring game for Miami all year. They have hit 40 points in 5 of their 7 games and 50 points in 3 of their 7 games as well. Miami's coverage unit, like you mentioned, they're letting this team down right now, and that should have already cost them a few games. It should have cost them this game. It should have cost them the Virginia Tech game. It should have cost them the Cal game. But the reason why Miami's still undefeated right now is because Cam Ward quite literally is carrying this team to victory, and he's the biggest reason why they're undefeated. I do not personally think that this year is the year for a quarterback to win the Heisman Trophy, but if you're going to give it to a quarterback, it is absolutely Cam Ward right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there we'll get to the other one in a bit. There are unquestionably, to me, 2 guys at quarterback right now who stand above everybody else, and Cam is one of them.
Yeah, for the draft as well. Not just Heisman, like the draft.
This season, and for the Heisman race is probably a third guy could throw in there, but for the combination of this year and the draft, there's 2 guys, and Cam is one of them that are like head and shoulders to me above everybody else.